What is up, guys? Welcome back. We are still trying to make progress on the Auto Union 1000 SP project. In the last episode, we got most of the front half of the frame put together for the Beetle pan that's underneath this 1960 1000 SP. So today, we're starting this episode off with making some gussets. So I want to kind of just tidy up the rest of this. The front part, we're going to leave unframed for the most part right now because I haven't gotten a fuel cell in yet. And I'm still trying to find a fuel cell that's going to be favorable dimensions for the space I have here. So we ran some frame rails up and just kind of bent them down. They're plug welded to the side here and obviously welded in to the front mounts, the plate that we see in C-cut for the two beam mounts. The crunch that I'm under right now is getting this to a state where it'll roll and air up and down on its own for complex union roll call in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada in July. So I've got about 4 to 5 weeks to get this thing to that state. So I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew to get it running and driving and wired and sheet metal inside and all of that. But in the last episode, we acquired the early BBS Molle RAs, 15 by 8 there in the rear and 15 by 7 up front. Hopefully by the end of this episode, we are getting tires mounted on the wheels, so I'll know for sure where I can and can't build the frame in the back. As you can see, aired out, these wheels are way up there. So I don't want to start building anything until I know exactly how high up the tire is going to sit before I bring my hoops over. I've already been on the computer. I've been designing some gussets, laser cut some out of cardboard, and test fit them. And as I'm starting off the episode with you guys, I'm ready to go to the CNC table and actually plasma cut them out of metal. So you can see the little relief radius on the inside there, and that's to go around my welds. Just like so. You can see I've already put a weld on that joint, and if I made this a 90-degree corner, it would hit that weld. So I put a little 3/8 radius in there, and that will look like that. Same thing on this side. I'm just gonna gusset the back, so I'm not going overkill here, but that'll help for shock load and shear points for when you're driving the car forward and you hit something, you'll get some forward to back shock load. That'll help give some support there. I've still got some 1/4-inch plate on the table. It'll be overkill for a gusset for sure, but I'd rather it be strong than wondering if it's strong enough. Getting stoked on this. Still have never seen it bodied on the concrete yet. Still haven't seen it all the way down. So that day that's coming, I'm super excited about that. Let's go to the table. We'll cut some steel. We'll see what else we can get finished on the 1000 SP in this episode. All right, well, we got all the gussets cut out. Haven't cleaned any of the dross or slag off of them yet, but let's take a look to see if these radiuses will work. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those will work. Yeah, I think those will look good. That inside radius straddles the weld there, so I can get a good 90-degree flat on it. Yeah, let's clean these things up, and we'll get them welded in. All right, well, I've got one gusset welded in. Got the other one tack welded in. So I just eyeballed it somewhat center and in the middle. And yeah, we're gonna weld this one up. Pretty stoked on that. All right, guys, well, I got a lot of the welding done in what used to be the engine bay. Got all the gussets welded in, finished welding up this crossbar, did a few welds on the backside, made sure everything was nice and strong. And yeah, I just finished up a lot of welding too on just some of the other frame rail bits. And up in here, also over here, this is a solid 1/4 inch air gap that I welded down. That guy right there was a solid 1/4 inch gap from the 45 frame rail to the straight frame rail. And I thought about siliconing that up or something, but I was right here with the welder and I thought, you know what, I bet I can get that. And we got it. So that'll help keep from debris getting in there. I'm gonna seal all this stuff up too once we're all done. Once we make inner fender wells and all that, I'm gonna tighten everything up and seal it all up. 2 of the 4 tires just showed up. I'm going to be running a 195/45/15 on the 15x8s in the rear and a 165/50/15 on the 7s up front. Since we're on such a time crunch to get this thing ready enough in time for complex union, when these tires go on, since I don't have a tire machine here, I'm not going to dismount them to refinish the wheels and then remount them up, more than likely. I'm going to do my best to repolish the lips of these wheels and just leave the centers for right now. You know, honestly, they fit the aesthetic of the car. They still look great, but my goal in the future is to get these masked off and do a BBS vintage gold powder coat on the faces and keep the lips full polished. All right.
It's the Ludwick blaster.
Every single time I show up, no matter what size tire, every single time. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. You're good. I just picked up on it. I always joke that every time I come to Quick Everett's, we got to use the bead blaster on something. Listen, it's not my fault. If anything, it just exercises your equipment. Well, they all balanced out surprisingly.
That's like a Beetle rear tire. Yeah.
Well, we got tires all wrapped up. Huge thanks to Perry, as always.
Always.
Quick Everett's Garage. All right, guys, well, I'm back home from Quick Efforts Garage. Huge thanks again to Perry for taking the time to mount up the tires on the BBSs. Now comes the long-awaited part of getting the wheels and tires on the pan. This is huge. This is like one of the pinnacle points of this whole project because we'll know where everything needs to go with these tires on these wheels, on the pan, under the body. All right, all four wheels are on. And what we're doing now is since the tires are on, we know exactly where the ground can be. We're gonna set all four tires on 4x4s, and we're gonna use 4x4s under the frame rails. Well, two things. We're hitting the parcel shelf frame in the back, and I definitely went too large with a tire in the rear. So I guess maybe a third thing is I'm really glad I didn't go 16s. I'm glad I went 15s. Already, I'm realizing the rear meatiness to the front size tire, I'm already not liking. I'm not really into that meatier tire in the rear than the front look. And that's what we've got. So I don't like the visual. You know, my dad's a muscle car guy, and that's just kind of like a muscle car thing, drag car thing. At this position, we're not aired all the way down. Although the rockers are on the pavement. We would be touching the pavement even with the pinch welds off. But I really, really want to run the same size tire front and rear. So as we speak, I'm ordering another pair of 165/50s. I'm gonna have to wait another week for two tires. But I'll show you what's going on inside. And it is wild. We are touching on the actual parcel shelf crossbar. We're touching there, and we're touching there. And the window is not much farther. So that makes me glad I didn't go 16s. That's what I was afraid of all along when I've been saying in previous episodes that 16s might be too big. That's exactly what I was talking about. And I think with a 165/50, we're gonna get another 1/2 inch drop out of this, and it's gonna help significantly. So that's what I'm gonna do, even though it's gonna set me back so much time. I do wanna go a little bit lower than this, and if we do, with a tire that big, we're gonna lose the wheel altogether. Now, there's not much wheel poking out as it is, but with a smaller tire, we're gonna get a little bit more wheel. But the fronts, no problems in the front. Might have a little bit of problem steering at a really low ride height, but I can roll and cut this lip back a little bit. But up top, we've got a ton of space. I mean, we're not even really sitting. Since we're sitting on 4x4s here, this 4x4 is almost touching the frame rail. We want that to be the ground, and this to be the ground. But as you can see, we are well beyond the pinch weld and this part of the sill. We are up front, we're where we need to be. With this wheel tire combo and maybe some Chase Hill extended arms. Chase, if you're watching this, I think we might actually need some of your extended arms to fix that caster. And if I'd thought about this, if I was more of a Beetle guy, when I was shortening the pan, I would have accounted for the fact that the wheel would roll forward the lower it goes, and I would have shortened the pan by another inch. I would have shortened it by 3 inches instead of 2. But that doesn't look terrible. I think that'll be okay. But we're almost talking lug nuts in the front. That is nuts. Essentially, this little bit would become a pinch weld, more or less. We're a little bit higher in the back because the tires are sitting on the actual, back window. So it's crazy that this is the ground and this is the car that's left. So if we were trying to just body this car, we've done it. We've bodied the car. This is so much lower on the body than the rear part of the body and the front part of the body. And I think it's gonna look silly if the center lays out and the rear and the front are way up off the ground. So would definitely like to get it pretty uniform. It's the lowest 1000 SP in the world. I think we would have seen another one of these this radical. We totally would have seen it. It's crazy that this is the first one. We're gonna do something that is one of the project's most exciting and pivotal things. We're gonna take it out from the blocks. I'm gonna tighten up all the hardware for the rear bags, and I'm gonna plumb in some air for the shop compressor, which I've already done on the front. And we're going to air this thing up. We'll see how far up we can go with the airbags in the rear and the airbags in the front. And we'll get the blocks out from under it, and we're gonna air this thing down on the concrete. And I've got goosebumps saying that. I literally do. It's the most exciting part of a project for me. And I know we're a long ways from being done. We're a ways from being able to roll it. You know, I haven't built the steering column yet, but we need to know exactly where we can air this thing out and how much of the sill and pinch welds I'm gonna cut out. This is huge. I know I've said that. It's been a lot of work. And this is the first one. You know, we're about to see the first Auto Union 1000 SP air down. Wow. The body's on the floor. Holy cow. Oh, man. Wow. The taillights are on my shins. I feel like I'm standing on a platform right now. Wow. The front wheels are off the ground. Oh, man. We did it. We have a long way to go. We've just seen the first Auto Union 1000 SP touch the ground. The whole goal of this project was to be the first one. They're super rare. There's only a dozen or so of these known to even exist in America. Got a lot of friends from Germany and Europe who said they've never even seen one. For me personally, it's insane to be in the presence of a body dropped 1000 SP. That's just the coolest thing in the world, in my opinion. Regardless of it being my car or what I've had to do to get to this point, all of that off the table. The fact that there's a body dropped 1000 SP sitting in the shop right now just blows my mind. Man, it's been so much work, and we have so much more to go, but we are on the ground. Look at that. Pinch welds are on the concrete. The pinnacle of this project so far. Look at how crazy. I'm really glad that Max from EvaResto convinced me to do a 2-inch narrowed beam when he built this thing for the car. Well, with this wheel setup, with the disc conversion, which brought us out a little bit more, we're right in there. I'm really glad I went with the 2-inch narrow beam because that set this car off completely. I really can't believe it. And I can't believe we're going even lower. That's going to be in the next upcoming episodes. We're going to start chopping those sills up. Well, I'm going to end the video there, guys. It's been a monumental episode and monumental progress made on this project. I can't express how excited I am about this. I really can't. I've probably done a decent job on camera so far. So although this really feels like the mountaintop to me, there's more peaks to traverse yet, so much more work to do. But boy, oh boy, are we a huge step closer to having this thing ready as far as a roller, being able to steer and air up and down for Complex Union in Canada. I'm so stoked, guys. We're gonna have an Auto Union 1000 SP shirt at Complex Union Roll Call. So if you're watching this and you're in the northeast of America, drive out. It's in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. It's a beautiful drive. I'm from New Hampshire, so I know that drive. From central New Hampshire out to St. John, it's like 5 or 6 hours, and it's beautiful coastal Maine and coastal New Brunswick, Canada drives. Please come out. It's July 20th. You won't regret it. It's an amazing show put on by amazing people. That is indeed going to be the show where we debut the 1000 SP. Even though it's not going to be completely finished, a lot of you guys have been watching all of this progress, so I'm excited to share it with you in person. So thank you guys again so much for watching. We will see you in the next episode.